My name's Robin Youngson. I'm a local Raglan resident. In this short video I wanted to share with you how easy it is to find some wonderful old tools like this woodworking lathe in your recycling centre, and how quickly and cheaply and easily you can restore them to something better than new. This wood lathe here was basically a piece of scrap iron that I tripped over when I was at the metal recycling yard at our Raglan Extreme Zero Waste, and I was looking for something else, and I tripped over the base of this and looked down and realized that actually there was a complete benchtop wood lathe here. This piece of machinery is perhaps 60 or 80 years old. It's made of cast iron. It's incredibly heavy. I can barely lift it. It's got lots of beautiful high quality features like brass bearings and brass handles, and really this is restored to better than new. So instead of buying cheap tools from China which are going to wear out in just a few years, I encourage you to go to your recycle centre, find old tools like this. This video is about how quick and easy it is to restore rusty old tools to as new condition. And I bought this lathe for $3, and the heavy duty motor that comes with it was free, and I spent maybe $20 of materials on the total cost of restoration, and this lathe now is worth, I don't know, certainly hundreds of dollars, maybe $500. I'm going to auction this lathe in support of our local community. In Raglan, we're just a hotbed of social and environmental activism, so much great stuff going on. And as part of that, I'd like you to encourage to recycle, to reuse. And I'm going to donate this restored lathe in support for an auction to raise funds in support of our local time bank, which I'm part of. So the rest of this video is really just a step-by-step guide about how quick and easy and cheap it is to restore old tools. I hope you enjoy it. Here's how to restore rusty metal components really quickly with no expensive chemicals or hard work. This is all you need: a 12-volt car battery charger, washing soda, which is sodium carbonate you can get in your local supermarket, a plastic container, some scrap iron, and some garden wire. The rust removal process is called electrolysis because it's an electrical chemical reaction to remove the rust. The rust is stripped off the component you're restoring, and it's attracted towards a sacrificial anode, a piece of scrap iron. And the liquid that this occurs in is simply water with some washing soda dissolved in it to make it conductive. The part to be restored and the scrap iron are suspended in the water with wire ties. The positive terminal from the battery charger goes to the scrap iron, and the negative terminal goes to the part being restored. Here's a close-up shot of the circuit. The piece of scrap iron is on the right, the part to be restored is hanging on the left. Make sure they don't touch or the circuit will short out. To make the mixture, I was using a 10-litre paint bucket. So for each gallon or 5 litres of water, you need to add 1 heaped teaspoon of washing soda, and it dissolves easily in cold water. When you've connected up the circuit and it's reacting, beware that this is going to create gases. From one side you get oxygen coming off the surface, and on the other side you get hydrogen. These are flammable gases, so make sure you do this in a well-ventilated space. For the sacrificial anode, that's the bit of scrap iron that's going to attract all the rust. You can use any kind of old scrap iron or steel. Offcuts of old steel rebar used for reinforcing concrete, that's great. Or you can use an old barbecue grill like I did. You want a large surface area for an efficient reaction. But here's a note of caution: do not use stainless steel. It can break down to release highly poisonous chemicals. After a few hours of cooking, this is what it looks like. Lots of rusty scum, especially collected around the sacrificial anode, the positive terminal. You can fully restore small pieces in just a few hours, but big pieces you can leave for a few days. The reaction is self-limiting. And don't worry about damaging the metal. It won't have any effect on sound metal, And if there are other components like brass I had in some of the lathe parts, it doesn't affect or damage those at all. When the pieces have been cooked, they come out covered in a slimy black paste which rubs off on your fingers. So just give the piece a quick scrub with a scouring pad, like you have it used in your kitchen, or a stiff brush with brass bristles. This is soft enough so it won't scratch the iron or the steel. And dry carefully, or the rust will start to come back pretty quickly. You can also dip the part in ordinary vinegar, and that helps to strip off the back stuff. Here's the restored piece. You can see that all of the rust is completely gone, and it strips off the paint too, which saves you a lot of time. But the surface may be pitted from where the rust eroded the metal, because this process does not restore the metal, it just removes the rust. But that's now ready for painting without any priming. Here's my project before I began restoration. All the parts are rusty, the paint is really chipped, some components are corroded together with rust, but they will come loose during the cooking. Here's a close-up. Here's the headstock with the pulleys and the bearings, the tailstock and the tool rest. You can see they're pretty corroded and rusted. The first job was complete disassembly of all the components. It's a great idea to photograph assemblies so that you can remember how to put them back together again, especially things like bearings. Because I had a lot of parts to restore, I made a bigger reaction chamber using an old plastic storage bin and old barbecue grills for the sacrificial anode. And I got these from the recycling center and they were free. These have a large surface area, which is great. The two grills are wired together in one circuit to make a double-sided anode for efficient reaction. And just a note of caution, make sure that all the metal parts, the sacrificial anode and any parts you're storing are completely free of oil or grease, otherwise it'll inhibit the reaction. You do need to make sure you got a really good electrical connection, so the scrap metal that you're using as the sacrificial anode, what I did was take an angle grinder and just touched it to one corner of it to create some bare metal and make sure there's a really good connection from the wire. And the same applies to all the pieces you're restoring. Make sure the wire ties that suspend the pieces in the water have really good electrical contact with the part. The parts to be restored are all suspended in the liquid by wire ties. And you can wire bunches of small components together. For instance, I had a whole bunch of nuts and bolts and washers and I just bundled them together, making sure they're all making connection with the wire and hung them from one wire. And all the separate parts are wired together to make one circuit, which is connected to the negative terminal of the battery charger. And the positive terminal is connected to the two barbecue grills. They're joined by a wire. Now here's all the parts after electrolysis and a quick scrub with a scouring pad, beautifully restored and ready for painting. No rust at all. You can see the nice brass bearings on that part there. I recommend Hammerite Paint, which is just amazing. It's a primer, undercoat and top coat all in one. And you can use Hammerite even on metal that's a little bit rusty. The paint is a really thick gel which doesn't run, and it gives you a really smooth glossy coat even on metal like mine that was a little bit rough or pitted. And you don't use very much. I only used about 1/5 of the whole can for this entire project. And here's the fully restored lathe, just absolutely good as new. Here's the adjustable tailstock. I love the things like the brass handle, really nice feature. And there's lots of little quality parts to this old lathe, which is many years old. I love these little rotating brass oil ports on top of the main brass bearings. So you give them a twist, it opens up a little hole and you can put the oil in and keeps the dust out. So I hope you enjoyed my little project and it has inspired you to do your own restoration projects. There's lots of amazing old tools out there you can get in junkyards or at car boot sales or at the recycle centre. And this fully restored lathe will be donated to the Raglan Time Bank for a fundraising auction because they need some funds. And finally, many thanks to Raglan's Extreme Zero Waste. They're just such an awesome bunch of people. They recycle more rubbish than and diverted away from landfill a greater proportion than any other city or community in New Zealand. So thanks for saving these precious resources and looking after the environment, and that's the website.